Welcome back to the shop at Boyd's Brass. It's been a little while since I posted a video. Got several projects going on here. I did get a new ultrasonic cleaner for small parts, so that's nice. My old one had broken. I'm working on a Finke horn right now. It's actually in the tank, and I'm working on this Holton here. And I got this Holton in on trade. Traded it for another horn as partial payment. The customer did, and it came in with bad valve compression. So what I did is I went online, did some research. There's a guy who goes by the name Texas Horn Trader. You can actually find him at texashorntrader.com, and he actually sells used band instrument parts. So I contacted him and I asked him, do you have a set of valves off a Holton 179 that are pulling good compression? He said, yeah, I do. And he measured compression for me. Real nice guy. He took these valve cores out of a horn, and I paid a price for them, and here they are. So I'm going to try to install these valve cores into this horn and just see if that helps compression. Currently, there's near no compression in this horn at all. The horn plays, but really stuffy. I can tell it's really leaky, so definitely time for an upgrade here. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these old valve cores out and put these new ones in. So ideally, this is actually going to be a really quick job. I'm just going to leave the strings on and everything. But I've popped off the valve caps, obviously, put them over there. Here's how I like to remove valves. I just loosen the screws up a little bit, tap the top, and off will pop the top bearings. Then I just loosen the screws by hand. And then I like to put the screws in order. I put the valve caps in order, and I just leave the screws in order. I figure that's at least a way to keep things safe. Just another step to just make sure nothing gets mixed up if possible. Once that's done, once each one is done, the valves should ideally just fall out with maybe a little bit of coercing. You don't want to be too rough on them. Here's the old valve cores. I can immediately see the issue here. See how they're polished? And you can see stripes, and I can actually feel grooves like going up and down the valve cores here. I believe these have been polished. Really, folks, into all the shops out there who maybe service student French horns, you don't have to polish horn valves. You simply need to stick them in your sonic cleaner and clean the junk off, but tarnish, like these valves look fine, tarnish on them is not an issue. So, I mean, the inside of the horn looks really clean. Hoping these new valve cores will fix it up, so I'm going to go ahead and pop them in. So I've got all the valves in, and I am running into one problem, but this is, if you're going to run into a problem, this is a problem you want to have. So, for instance, here's my number four valve cap here, okay, and it's not quite fitting on the bearing, and the valves are slightly too large. But this actually is pretty good news, because what this means is I can take some metal off, and these valves are ideally going to fit right in with very high valve compression. So if you're going to run into a problem, ideally they'd fit perfectly, right, and there wouldn't have to be any work, but I think that's pretty rare. But if you're going to have a problem, you'd much rather have really too much material on the valves, and then you can take some off, right? You can't really put material back on unless you're plating, which I can't do in this shop yet. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and lap these valves in. I'm going to save that project for another day, so we'll pick up here soon. But for now, I am going to go over to my Finke horn and put him back together. And here's a note for you on Finke valves. Okay. I'm going to put this Holton over here with this other Holton I'm working on. Holton horns everywhere. This is a horn shop, and Holton horns are very prevalent. This one has a bad brace. This brace is broken, so doing a repair there. Here's my old valve cores. I'm sure I'll work with them. Now, a note on Finke valves. Finke valves are composite. This is a super lightweight valve. And a shop may be tempted to like scrub them down. I put mine through a very light chemical, very diluted, and sonic cleaner, and they came out clean. Okay, and you put them into the horn, obviously. He just came out of the cleaner, and you put them into the horn, obviously, okay? So here's my number 4. And you don't put any oil in. You just put the valve in like that. You may be tempted to put oil in, and it is okay to put like a drop or so of oil in, which I think I am going to do. Okay, but Finke valves require no oil. Okay. And they also have a little funny design. As you can see, there's no top bearing. So I am going to apply super light oil. I'm actually using piston oil, very lightweight, and I'm just kind of rubbing it in the inside here. Okay, just like that, just a little bit. Okay, oil's not going to hurt it. Go ahead and pop that in. Oops, sorry, you weren't on camera there. Go ahead and pop this one in. Okay, go ahead and pop this one in. Again, they require no maintenance, and you certainly should not scrub these composite valves. Interestingly, this is actually a Finke student horn, but it still has the composite valves here. So here's all the valves in the right spot, and the Finke valves actually have a really interesting design. You have a top bearing that's actually a ball joint. This is my number 4, and it pops in here. You can see some of my stripped lacquer still coming off. Just use a screwdriver to just get that off. I did strip the lacquer on this horn, and now there's just there's those few leftover pieces of lacquer just still hanging out. But the ball joint just goes on top. There's not really any lining up to do of any marks. This is one of the hard things, is it's harder to align these valves. Just go ahead and put that in there. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this with one hand. Okay, let's see if that'll stay. Then, there we go. Okay, this is just a block of wood with a hole screwed in it. So I'm actually going to do this two-handed here just to make sure. I'm going to put all the tops back in so that you can see them. They just sit in like this, and it's pretty nice. Little ball joints that are right there. So what you do after tapping them all down is you go over to the other side and just see, okay, this one's stuck. Okay, that one spins well and there's no play. Okay, this one spins fine, but there's a lot of up and down play. Okay, and you're gonna come to this one and there's nothing there that's moving. So what I need to do is I need to just go in here, flathead screwdriver, and this one was stuck. I'm gonna loosen it up a little bit. Loosen it up. This guy had way too much play, so I'm gonna tighten him down. Okay, and you can just adjust the valves this way, at least in their side-to-side play and up and down play. Okay, that's good. Still stuck, still stuck. I might need to just kind of tap those two guys a little bit. Okay, now we're cooking a little better. Just little taps here. Okay, got to get these working. Okay, yeah, and the play's gone from that. That's what we want to see. Looking straight here. Okay, and basically you want this to be tightened down as far as it'll go without sticking the valve up. And ideally, it's actually not going to stick the valve up because of that ball joint, but sometimes it does. See, like that stuck that valve up. Okay, too much pressure. This one's getting close. Oh, that one got stuck up again. So that one, it's gonna be a little bit tricky and time consuming at first, but it's actually only the second Finke I've worked on. So this one, just this guy, and this guy. And there we go. No play in any of the valves, and they all spin very freely. Minimal amount of oil. So now it's time for me to reassemble this thing and see how it plays.